Two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Monday statements on Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd. It is a victory Monday here. If you missed Purple Daily Vikings Vent Line, it was a celebration yesterday. If you missed the Purple Daily Hottest Vikings Takes live stream, definitely go check those things out. But we have spillover Vikings thoughts on the show here. Boys, let's waste no time. I'll hit you with the first statement. We'll see where this goes. Kirk Cousins is the music man of the National Football League. And if you're unfamiliar with the Music Man, Broadway hit. Yep. My wife and I saw the Music Man at the Guthrie, I think, like 5 years ago.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins was not starring at the time.
He could have been, though, because he's a great singer. Great singer.
Yeah. But you know what? That's the thing. Like, knowing how to play your instrument is not part of the Music Man, because the Music Man comes in and fraudulently gets all of the people in the village to buy instruments from him so he can make a bunch of money, because we're going to create this town orchestra. And then the goal is to bolt town with all the money before anything actually gets performed with instruments. Kirk Cousins has made over $300 million to play football in the National Football League. 0 high-level winning. And he stole $200 million from the Falcons. He comes in yesterday, first game in Atlanta, 2 massive game-changing interceptions, 0 mobility, 36 years old, going on 50 with that Achilles tendon injury, teeth clenched, helmet on until he walked back into the tunnel in disappointment. But the scheme, he's sitting back there in shock, and the scheme is all, the offensive line was bad. Well, the wide receiver ran the wrong route. It's always something. I'm sure there's a million reasons why people are going to find Kirk, they're going to absolve Kirk of blame, but his debut in Atlanta was a complete dud. On the other hand, the Vikings, they move off, they bring in rookie quarterback injured and $10 million Sam Darnold, broken Sam Darnold, and they ride Sam Darnold to one of the best games of his young career. He's only 26 years old still. And they throttle a Giants team 28-6, say goodbye to the Music Man, go in a different direction. You can win games without paying a mid-quarterback $40 million a year. Now there's video going around, too, from the All-22 that Kirk can't even push off that. He knew that this road to comeback was going to be a lot longer than just like 100% week one, him and his agent. And they still swindled the Falcons into a $200 million contract. Or what was it? It was 200, right? $50 million a year? 49, whatever it was?
Sounds right.
That could have been the Vikings.
It's a lot of guaranteed money.
That could have been the Vikings.
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, a statement off your statement about the same topic, and it's this. Cousins' biggest mistake was not taking the discount. And by the way, discount is relative here. But we saw it yesterday, and we're going to see it with the Falcons, who have a defensive-minded coach for the most part, right? And a new OC, John DeFilippo type, who's going to say, oh, Kirk Cousins, I can do all of these things. Kevin O'Connell was the puppeteer. Kevin O'Connell, you look at Kirk Cousins' greatest chance at success here, right? Well, Kirk Cousins was he was going great guns last year before he got hurt. The year before, 13 wins, 8 come from behind wins or 8 tie games, a combination of which he won in the fourth quarter. This guy is clutch Kirk Cousins, Netflix star Kirk Cousins. It was all O'Connell. O'Connell literally took him, and look, he's got talent, okay? Now the Achilles does scare me, and I think that the Falcons...
I think he's cooked.
Well, I think the Falcons might have to cash in on the insurance policy eventually, because he might be cooked. But the point is...
Doesn't help their salary cap.
Nope. Kevin O'Connell, though, gave Kirk Cousins his greatest chance at success. And he wanted him back. Like, there's no question. He wanted him back at the right price, which is what we said. Probably have to take a little bit of a discount, not as much in guarantees, but the return is he got to thrive with a coach that tailored things to him. You want Tuesdays off? You take Tuesdays off. I'll come in and game plan. I might text you a couple times. So I think the Achilles might be it for him. But I think just as importantly as well, I think he signed his own football death certificate in some ways.
No, he didn't. He did the opposite.
No, but I'm saying
he knew he was probably cooked and swindled the Falcons into $200 million, dude.
Okay, if he enjoyed playing, he signed his death certificate as far as being a productive QB, because Kevin O'Connell deserves a lot of credit for what O'Connell did in a season plus with Kirk. He might not care. I'm just saying this is we're now going to see the John D. Filippo, Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins all over again, because as Dex tweeted out, that stat about putting him in pistol, he doesn't play out of pistol. He's incapable of playing out of pistol.
Dude.
He's actually like in regular form, like he's actually not bad at like design rollouts that like he's actually not terrible at that. Like I guess he's not mobile, but to put him in pistol and shotgun, and I'm very amateur football film breakdown guy here.
Pistol.
But when you watch that foot that can't even plant off, man, like that's they're trying to not move him. He was a statue before. He is now cemented. He's cemented into the ground, man.
I got a question. Do you guys think that there's any chance that, because this whole Falcons thing seems very bizarre and dysfunctional, like you signed Kirk Cousins to this huge contract, and then instead of taking a defensive stalwart like Dallas Turner in the first round, you draft Penix. You think that there's some friction here between those that signed Kirk and the coaching staff? Because, I mean, some of their play designs to me seem to be very Michael Penix friendly. I just wonder, this whole Falcons thing, from the time that they drafted Penix and Arthur Blank was like, huh? It seems very weird.
Yeah, it's going to get weirder because, again, he did not. There's a clip, Hayden Winks from Underdog threw out a breakdown from like the end zone camera of the all-22 cut up on a 3rd and 15 play, so a must-pass play, but perfect protection up front. And Kirk drops back, shotgun formation, drops back, perfect protection, first read, second read, and he like 2 hops a throw to a receiver, maybe 12 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And his Achilles foot, he goes to plant and throw, and like he lifts, again, with no pressure, he lifts his foot off the ground as he's throwing because he doesn't trust putting the full weight back. So they might have known all this behind the scenes once they brought him in the building and said, well, we can't do like under center play action because you're not going to be able to take a 5-step, 7-step drop plant. So maybe if we had you in pistol shotgun, you can at least kind of sit back there and survey things. But I don't know how you can watch that another 2 or 3 more weeks and keep Michael Penix from coming into a game in which, by the way, it's not like the Falcons or the Panthers where they can kind of feel it out and see they're expected to win that division. Yeah. And they look like that at home against the Steelers. And just remember, per my statement, that could have been the Vikings. Now, if it would have been, it probably would have been like a 1-year contract that you could get out from underneath. So if you're the Falcons, you feel sick to your stomach if this is what you have to deal with here. But
19 passing yards in the entire second half.
Brutal. Dex.
So my statement is Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold will be the reason why Kevin O'Connell is elevated as one of the best NFL head coaches. So what he can do. Now, Aaron Jones is a much more known and a respected, established commodity. He's a very good running back. Yes, he missed time with Green Bay, but when healthy, when active, I know he felt his own disrespect by not being included as one of the best top 10 running backs in the league. But when on the field, Aaron Jones is a top 10 running back. Mm-hmm. But Kevin O'Connell has gotten some respect. I think he's definitely above the average respect meter in terms of head coaches in the NFL. But there's a gap between the Sean McVays and the Matt LaFleurs and all the great offensive geniuses in the NFL right now. And it's going to be not Kirk Cousins that elevates him to the top of that echelon. It's Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold, what he's able to do with them. And especially in Sam Darnold's case, who's a guy who was a failed top 3 pick in the draft, has bounced around team to team, was a backup for a really good coach in Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy last year. But if he is able to get the most out of this offense and provide it to be even more successful and execute better with these 2 guys as the quarterback, running back, I think that's what elevates him. It's not Kirk Cousins coming back here again, even with an Achilles tear, not an Achilles tear. What he's able to do with Sam Darnold and Aaron Jones is probably going to be the thing that propels him up to being one of the most respected NFL head coaches around.
Isn't it crazy too how and KOC has something to do with the first part of this, how fast life changes in the NFL, where today on September 9th, 2024, Sam Darnold is probably the more reliable, better quarterback than Kirk Cousins at age 36 coming off an Achilles. If you ask most people, after watching both guys play in week one in their current situations, who do you trust the next month plus to perform? You might say Sam Darnold over Cousins. And same thing with Cleveland and Tampa Bay, that these teams that have these huge quarterback decisions to make, Baker Mayfield is levels better than Deshaun Watson. And if you're Atlanta right now, you're like, oh my God, what did we do? If you're Cleveland right now, you're thinking, oh man, how much money do we still owe on this contract? And if you're Tampa Bay, well, look at what we found. We rejuvenated Baker Mayfield. If you're the Vikings, if you get the right infrastructure and people in place, and you put a quarterback in a situation that's more advantageous than a dumpster fire train wreck Cleveland or Atlanta with, Atlanta's not a dumpster fire train wreck. They just locked into a guy that's hurt and 36 years old, unfortunately. So different circumstances, right. But it's amazing how quickly the winds can shift in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, with Kirk, Kirk and Rodgers are both coming off late career Achilles tears. That's not some type of simple, it's fixed. I would rather tear my ACL and have that recovery process than be a quarterback with an Achilles that I can't trust. Yeah. This to me is the worst of the worst, because Kirk wasn't mobile before, but as you explained with that pass against Pittsburgh that's on Twitter, Phil, that's can you plant? If you can't plant, you're screwed. So, no, it's bad. And look, the Falcons, in fairness, probably shouldn't play him right now. I would say, hey, let's take another month here, right? After you saw what you saw,
if he takes another month, if he takes another month and Michael Penix comes in and lights it up, dude.
You got to take your chances then, man. You got to take your chances, because what we saw yesterday in the clips is a guy that clearly cannot do. What can Kirk do? Kirk can throw the ball. The pass in which he couldn't plant is a patented Kirk Cousins pass. If he can't do that, you shouldn't be playing him. So, anywho.
Judley.
The Packers season has become very murky. Very murky. So, two things. Jordan Love, just from a standpoint, and we've talked about this a ton. Jordan Love got a huge contract. He got the type of contract, the Kirk special, you're going to be one of the highest paid guys for at least a moment. He got that contract based on a second half Packers rebound last year. But before that, he was a very average, okay quarterback. Well, the game against the Eagles in Brazil on Friday, before he suffered the sprained MCL, I wouldn't say that I was super impressed. Now he has a sprained MCL. And because there's really no one behind him, there's going to be a race to get him back, okay? So let's say he misses 4 games. There's no guarantee he's going to come back and be ready to go. He has a slight tear. A sprain is a slight tear. He has a slight tear in the MCL of his knee. Part of his game, very much so, based on mobility. I'm not saying he has to run a ton, but he definitely moves around, right? Okay, let's say he tries to come back. It doesn't go well. He's not, or he's just not playing well. Well, there's no one else to really go to. So the Packers, and this is why it's so funny. I love this sport, but we spend, the schedule comes out in May now, and we spend the next few months being okay, the Packers are going to be improved. The Vikings, I don't know about, right? Now, the Green Bay Packers, highly paid quarterback, isn't going to play for probably a month. And when he does come back, there's no guarantees that he's going to be the Jordan Love of last December. So I think the Packers now have gone from this, okay, I know why the Packers, they have found their third guy, Favre, Rodgers, Love, to, this is going to be very interesting. And I'm not sold that the Packers might not actually scuffle a lot here in the coming weeks.
Their schedule is fascinating too. So on paper, you say, oh, well, the Colts at home on Sunday, okay, the Colts almost beat the Texans in week 1. You got Anthony Richardson throwing back foot 70 yards in the air, touchdown passes.
What the hell was that?
He's not the most accurate guy, but he's crazy athletic. And anything you could say about Anthony Richardson's deficiencies, you could say times 2 for Malik Willis's deficiencies. And he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Packers. So that's a feisty, well-coached Colts team. At Tennessee, it's a road game. Tennessee's got some pieces, although Will Levis made one of the dumbest plays on the entire slate yesterday, just like falling to the ground, throws a ball up, pick 6 for the Bears. But they had the Bears on the ropes in Chicago. And then that Vikings game in week 4, on Purple Daily, I flipped that to a Vikings win. Because now I know it's a road game for the Vikings, but Malik Willis trying to decipher Brian Flores' defense. I mean,
and if you have the Vikings defense healthy and Aaron Jones, right, going back to Green Bay, and now you can run the ball and you can sit on the ball and eat up clock now. And I guarantee you, Jones is going to be. I mean, he wants to give it to the Packers.
He wants the Lambeau.
They cut his salary once, tried to cut it again, and then gave Josh Jacobs the exact contract that he wanted. So, there's a lot of very intriguing storylines. But if I'm not mistaken, the Bears also did not score an offensive touchdown on Sunday, correct?
They did not. I don't think anybody scored an offensive touchdown in that game. That was a classic Bears game. Somehow they win 24-17 and nobody scores an offensive touchdown.
And
Caleb Williams was
like
25 pass attempts, 90 yards or something.
Let's just all calm down there. Let's wait and see, okay?
By the way, the Packers schedule after those games I just mentioned. So if you can kind of get through maybe 2-2, you'll feel good.
Sure.
Oh, here's your reward. At Los Angeles Rams, home against a feisty Arizona Cardinals team that had a lead in Buffalo double digits second half. Houston Texans in week 7, at Jacksonville week 8, up double digits on the Dolphins yesterday, and then home against Detroit on the 9th. And at least half those games probably with Malik Willis as your starting quarterback.
Yeah. And the Lions, that was a fun game against the Rams last night too.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my next statement. I feel like for $375 million over 10 years, I need a little more juice from Tom Brady in the broadcast booth. I don't know if you guys caught much of Dallas versus Cleveland. Judd, you're shaking your head.
I did not.
So you didn't have it. Dex, did you catch any of this?
Just a little bit, but I saw all the tweets and read some just reviews, and doesn't exactly sound like Tom was up to snuff. Wasn't really living up to expectations.
He was like, you know what he was? He was like a game manager in the broadcast booth.
Sure.
There'd be, an opening for 15 seconds between plays to maybe add some color and say something, and he would fill the space, sometimes with choppy sentences. But when Tony Romo came on the scene, and people kind of made fun of him, but he was excited as anyone's ever been to call a football game. He's predicting plays. He's giving you the X's and O's and the jargon. Oh, Jim, look what's going to happen, Jim. Oh, my God. And it was this burst of energy. And he kind of wore people out after a few years. But I feel like Tom must have it was paralysis by analysis. He must have talked to so many different people about how to succeed in this job. And he probably had 20 different people telling him, okay, you can't give too much X's and O's jargon because you're talking to a casual audience. Okay, so I can't. All right, well, I would tell Tom, dude, cut it loose. Don't worry about talking over people's heads.
Right.
If you can predict what's going to happen, predict what's going to happen. If you have an X's and O's breakdown or interpretation, just say it, and we will get smarter with you as we figure it out.
Right.
But it felt like a guy in the pocket who was scared to throw a ball into like a tight window. And so he's just kind of
Kirk Cousins of broadcasting?
He was a little too conservative. Yes, I think he's going to figure it out because he's Tom Brady. But for $375 million, and the promotion of the game was Tom Brady making his debut. Oh, and by the way, the Cowboys are playing too. I was a little underwhelmed by Tom Brady.
I saw a tweet that I think it was from a sports media critic, said Greg Olsen was unbelievable too.
Oh yeah, well Greg Olsen also has like a 9-year head start, right, or whatever.
No, right, but I'm just saying the thing with Tom is they demoted a guy who is fantastic.
Yeah,
Greg
Olsen's. They're banking on, even if Greg Olsen is better tactically at that job, they're banking on, and I don't know how if maybe they see an increase in the ratings, that Tom Brady is going to be good enough and a big enough name to send a jolt through the ratings.
Write this down. Greg Olsen will be put in a 3-man booth because don't they have the Super Bowl this year?
Fox.
They do.
Fox.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if Tom, and look, it's a tough job. I'm not saying, you got to talk in sound bites, be entertaining, be good.
It's way harder than people think. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
I wouldn't be surprised if they put Olsen in the booth.
With
Because
Tom.
then those two can talk football. Because that's the
Boy.
problem is you don't have a sounding board.
But then why am I paying? Now you're back to the Kirk analogy. Okay, we're gonna pay $375 million, but we also need a great offensive line, great weapons. No, I'm paying you to be entertaining. Figure it out with Kevin Burkhardt.
A longtime partner of mine has frequently used the term sunk cost. It's going to be a sunk cost. It's going to be a sunk cost. But if
I think he'll figure it out.
In a Super Bowl year, though, I'm just saying, Olsen in the booth. I think if those two could talk football, would be, and it would. I think Olsen would help to loosen Tom up.
Then if I'm Greg Olsen, I need more than whatever
they did cut his salary by like $6 million.
Exactly. Now you need me to save Tom Brady and your sunk cost. It's disaster.
It's Rupert Murdoch. He's got more money than God.
I have an off-the-wall statement, but I also love statement within the statement. Drew Bledsoe going full scorched earth on Tony Romo yesterday. That was the highlight of a crazy, chaotic NFL pregame day with Tyreek Hill and Dak Prescott contract. My favorite thing was Drew Bledsoe flaming Tony Romo. I thought that was insane. He said, in Dallas, Parcells made the decision to yank me at halftime. Bledsoe said this. And throw in Romo. I really didn't agree with that one. If you're watching this, Romo, you know this is true. The minute he became the starter, he became pretty big in his own mind. He was no longer the curious, inquisitive guy like Tom was when, obviously, he was backing up Drew. He just flamed Romo, like off the top.
Bledsoe's great, man.
Jeff Hardy swanton bomb, completely out of nowhere on Tony Romo.
It's great, man. Yeah, it was part of an ESPN feature. And by the way, Mike Greenberg has taken over that lead chair, and it
was great.
All the breaking news, Greeny was in his element, setting people up, directing traffic,
Randy Moss, what do you
news
think?
left and right. Yeah. Hyperbole, everything was in play. I think Greeny threw a perfect game yesterday in his Sunday Countdown debut. But yeah, they were doing a feature on quarterbacks, like mentoring younger quarterbacks and kind of passing it down and stuff. And the whole thing was kind of a puff piece until the Bledsoe part. Just filleting Tony Romo. Yeah, he was kind of a jackass. Yeah. Oh, man.
But my statement, the off the wall statement, this weekend, my statement is like, I've really leaned into the Suburban guy. So let me break down Friday and Saturday night for you.
Suburban mustache.
Friday, it got really chilly here in the Twin Cities. Like dropped down to like 55 degrees. I think even the low on Friday night into Saturday morning was like mid 40s. It was very cold.
Talk to me.
Yes.
But I open up all the windows in the house. This is Friday night. I'm home alone. It's me and the Vinster. Nothing else going on. Open up all the windows upstairs. I stand on top of those staircase with windows open in this bedroom and the other guest bedroom. And I said, you know what? This is going to be a great cross breeze. This is going to be a great cross breeze that comes through. This is going to be awesome. And it was great. Air conditioning was off. It was probably 62 degrees by the time we went to sleep in our house on Friday. It was phenomenal.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, a little trip to Home Depot. Had to go pick up some bricks for a new umbrella stand we bought. Had to get some wood and fire starter for the solo stove, which we enjoyed on a Saturday patio. It was the full Suburban experience. Now, don't get me wrong.
Did you guys maybe hit an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays for dinner? Was Dan Campbell serving at Applebee's?
No, he was not serving at Applebee's. There's parts of me that North Loop Declan still exists in here, and he does want to be maybe released sometimes.
Yeah.
But to lean
so
into Suburban
you're full
effects,
in, because I feel like a year ago you were really skeptical about whether North Loop Declan was going to be able to exist outside of the the downtown area.
Yes.
And now going into second season of football, Suburban Declan is
Friday night at 7:30. And
you looking for a high school football game, maybe?
Yeah, I did that on Thursday.
That shorts on?
I did that on Thursday. I went to a high school football game on Thursday. I mean, if you would have told 3 years ago, Declan, that on September 6th, he is standing on top of his stairs at 7:30 p.m. saying, this is going to be a great cross breeze.
Football.
I don't
Wild
know-
night. A wild
I don't
night
know
in the burbs.
I don't
That's
know if I
awesome.
would have believed you.
It's awesome. A cross breeze is so
wild.
perfect.
Yes. What are we going to do tonight, honey? You want to get wild? Let's open the windows and see what the cross breeze feels
Both
like.
of them?
Both
Yeah.
of them just
Maybe
boy.
pop a wine cooler and
Vinster's
see
like,
what happens, huh?
I'm all in.
Finster was actually like definitely bundled up. Like he's like, dude, you dropped the temperature 10 degrees in 2 hours.
blanket
Can
on
you
him.
please turn the heat back on? Yeah.
You know, I could find you a Park Dental out in the suburbs too.
That's
because
right. Yeah.
Park Dental, all across the metro area of the Twin Cities. My new dentist. It's always intimidating when you get a new dentist. You're like, I don't know, am I going to like the place? Am I going to like the people? It's a very intimate experience. People putting their hands in your mouth. It's a whole thing. But Park Dental made me feel great about it. You can see on the YouTube channel here. Here's me visiting, sitting in the chair. There was a camera in my face while I talked about some TMJ pain that I get on the left side. But they were super helpful, offered some suggestions and some solutions. So Park Dental, over 50 years of caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. They also treat some professional athletes who shall go nameless for now, at least around the Twin Cities. So if you're like me, maybe you're looking for a new dentist. Maybe it's been a while since you've had a checkup. Schedule yours at parkdental.com. That's parkdental.com. Okay, Judd.
All right. I've got one more weekend statement, and the statement itself is have some pride. PJ Fleck. I know your big thing is crowd surfing the locker room after a win. And if it's a Big Ten game, just fine. Just do what you do. You be you.
Dude, Rhode Island is that's a football powerhouse.
Because his team blew out Colorado. But when it's an FCS school that you win 48-0, Rhode Island, don't. Come on, man. Come on. Really? We're crowd surfing? So, like, if you win a huge game, a Big Ten game, do you I don't know. What's the celebration then? FCS, let's just all shake hands, high five, whatever you want to do, and agree, hey, nice win. We got to win. Why are we crowd
It's for the culture.
surfing?
It's for content.
I know. Exactly. But I feel like in this case, he's a football coach, not a buffoon. Like, we're buffoons. So it's for the content with us. But can we not have him crowd surfing after a win over an FCS school?
I
Not
was
too much to
at
ask.
that game. I was at that game.
I
Proud
know.
season ticket holder here.
Yeah.
Row the boat, Skyamaga Gophers. Raw.
Yeah.
Electric atmosphere. Electric for Rhode
Yeah, it
Island.
looked like it from the crowd shot.
I will
you
say,
sent me.
the students showed up big time. They must be giving away tickets for the student. They're not paying for tickets, right? Or if they are, it's very low priced.
I think they do pay for tickets, but for
'Cause,
this game,
I'm telling you,
they might have been free.
Full lower deck full of students,
You know what this
and
is?
upper deck all the way up to like the top row.
This is the fact that the younger generation now does not drink as much. So the 11 o'clock kickoff is actually, I think,
They're not sleeping off
palatable now.
a 14 beer hangover. From
Exactly right. Exactly right. They found
I think
new
they're
means
sleeping
of
off
fun.
other things, though. Perhaps.
Well, I was
don't
gonna
think
say,
they're.
are
I don't
those
think they're
things-
just like.
Are those things simpler to wake up from? I do not know.
It depends on how much of those things you
Yeah.
had. Perhaps.
I'm just saying and I don't care if they gave away tickets for an 11 a.m. kickoff. That was impressive, and we never used to see that.
No, I had a good time. Sometimes just sitting outside in the fall weather. It's
a great
53 degrees. The sun is shining. The Gophers are putting an ass whooping on some random school.
Just don't crowd surf
It's great.
against an FCS school.
I actually had a statement that was. I'll give you the quick one, then I'll give you my backup statement because you stole mine. Mine was going to be leave PJ alone. Let him crowd surf. Let him celebrate a win. Let him enjoy life
Standards.
after a rough week one.
We got standards here.
Okay, my next one is my last one. After week one, I can tell you which coaches are going to be fired pretty soon. And maybe like some are going to get fired this season and some, but I'll give you a handful of coaches after week one. I don't think it's going to work. Dave Canales, Carolina Panthers. Yeah.
Well, they might have drafted a bad QB, I guess, huh? Like Bryce Young, I'm willing to wait and see, but There's not much to see.
That was bad. The whole thing was bad. Just completely blown out by not a great Saints team, by the way. Just 30-0. Brian Dable, I'm not even sure how much of it is his fault, but the way that team looks with Daniel Jones, that crowd, we're all watching the game on TV, and they showed the ceremonial stuff, 100 years of New York Giants football, Lawrence Taylor for the coin flip, and Phil Simms and Eli Manning, a big celebration. And 90 seconds into that game, fans were booing Daniel Jones off the field. It was a 1 o'clock Eastern start time. By literally 1:06 p.m. Eastern time, fans were ready to burn that stadium down. They're waiting in the parking lot for Daniel Jones to heckle him on the way out. Yeah. And so Dable, I think he's going to wind up getting fired without ever getting to identify his own quarterback, unfortunately. And then I'll give you Antonio Pierce with the Raiders. That felt like a nice, fun injection middle of the season, taking over for one of the worst head coaches in the NFL, Josh McDaniels. But that was a train wreck yesterday for the Raiders. Raheem Morris also on watch. If you don't make the right moves with this quarterback situation, I could see him being not in season year one, but it looks a little train wrecky in Atlanta. We already talked about it to start the standings. A wild card, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati. Losing at home to the Patriots in week one.
That was I don't know
What's going on there?
Spread was going into that game, but it had to have been double digits.
I think it was 6.5. I think it was 6.5 or
Really?
7. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
it opened at 9 or something, but it came back down.
Interesting.
Bengals have weird vibes too. T was out because he's hurt. This Jamar Chase thing. This Jamar Chase thing, by the way, could have been the Vikings last year easily.
But Justin Jefferson's not.
Easily could have done the same thing. Said, I'm not going to play till I get a new contract, and I don't care that I have 2 years left on my current contract.
Yeah. But he didn't, because he's not a cantankerous malcontent.
It's true.
So, all right. Any other final words of wisdom or statements here? Good session here, boys.
Just that I love Sundays. They're back.
It's back. The alarm goes off.
Yeah.
It's time for football now. Yes, it
wake
is.
up.
Time for football now. It's
time
time for football now.
Tyreek Hill's been arrested. Oh, wait, detained. I meant he was just detained.
Gosh, how about that?
That was
crazy,
weird.
man.
That was weird.
Gotta find out more.
I had to pick up some Bloody Mary mix at that Target pickup order on Saturday because I love my weekend homemade Bloody on football Sunday. It's the first thing I start my day with is a nice little minced garlic, Tabasco.
It is
pickle.
Suburban, man.
He's time for a Bloody.
He's going to Target to pick stuff up.
It's time for some crosswinds. Let's open up the windows now.
I love it.
It's unbelievable.
Bum, bum, bum. That song's
I'll
been in my
never
head
leave the North Loop. Now the most suburban guy there is.
Did I ever say I'll never leave? I don't know.
My next move is to Lakeville. I'm going
the suburbs.
I'm going to move 45 minutes away from civilization. Have a lot of land.
Monday statements. Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd and the Score North YouTube channel. We've got a scoop of Doogie tomorrow plus Purple Daily 7 days a week. It's the place to be during Viking season. So thanks for hanging out with us here on a Monday across the Score North network of pods.